Pop, pop, pop. Oh, God, it feels like it's been so long. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. Please, please hit that like button, share, mash that subscribe number. I am your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack. Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome to the program, and it feels like it's been so long.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we had training tonight. You know how I don't know if you do this, but I'll be watching stuff going on, and I'm like the guys aren't taking bumps the way that I want it to go, so I'll be like, all right, get the fuck out of the way. Let me show you what I mean. And it was like the white shorts all over again. I took that one bump, and I think I might have shit myself. So I just got out of the ring and just coached from there, but I was just like, what a terrible thing to happen. And I was thinking about it too. I was like, I should probably get in there and show these guys, but got a little rumbling. I don't know if I should. So
let me show you how this is done.
That's it.
Coach.
Whoops the daisies.
Coach, right. Did you just shit your pants? Speaking of, man, I saw a couple dangerous maneuvers on both programs being done. We're talking AEW, we're talking WWE. I watched Penta with I don't know if maybe it was Dragon Lee backpacked on his back to back, butt to butt, holding him like a backpack, and then he kicks Chad Gable, picks him up in a move, dumps him right on his head. Surprised he didn't break Gable's neck, which Gable seems to be playing two gimmicks right now that are actually pretty entertaining. And I just thought in my head, like, well, I get the purpose of what you were trying to do to Gable, but hitting him basically with an angel's wings while some guy's legs are wrapped around your thighs, butt to butt, and you're holding him like a backpack, and you're going to pick up the second guy. So I get you were trying to do something creative, but my concern is the way you fell down to your butt and almost broke the star's neck. The dude on your back, what was he going to do? Land on his knees? Was he going to sell his kneecaps with his knee pads on? Like, if you look at the move, the guy on his back was just fucking pointless, because what was going to happen to that guy anyways? Like, hey, we've never seen this move before. Well, good job on the creativity, but you probably never seen that move before because it actually had no effect on the guy that you were holding on your back that was preventing you from bringing the superstar down safely. So I almost saw Gable break his neck on WWE programming on something fucking stupid. And then I saw Kyle Fletcher, as Jim Cornette would say, Kyle Felcher. And we all know what a Felcher is. And if you don't know what it is, look it up. Maybe I'll tell you by the end of the program.
I thought you were going to say watch Dumb and Dumber. Afraid of Felcher from Cranston.
I'll tell you by the end of the program if nobody calls in and or shoots us the message on this pre-recorded podcast. Right. But he went to powerbomb him from the floor to the apron, the old apron bump. And, usually they spread their arms out, and I wouldn't ever want to take that move, especially on the indies where there's maybe not be good padding covering the railing around the hardest part of the fucking ring. But they put it in slow motion because it looked like he just power bombed him right on his head on the thing, and it was a tough tumble to the ground. But luckily, when you put it in slow motion, it just looked like it was his head hit. It was his elbow and his arm coming around at probably 45 miles per hour. As Jacob Fatu would say, the power bomb on the apron was all gas, no brakes, right? All gas, no brakes, where there should have been a lot of brakes and no gas going into that. So I don't know if you've seen any of these two clips from this last week from Dynamite and Monday Night Raw on Netflix, which got the lowest rating it's ever gotten at 2.6 million. See you later, R-Truth. See you later, Carlito. TKO is saying, hey, we're getting rid of these old contracts. Maybe it's a work, maybe it's not. Maybe they're coming back for a Legends contract. Maybe they want it out, but who gives a shit? Paul, what do you think the first thing we learn in this business is how to protect ourselves? What is your thought, just from what I said, on national television at the big time? Guys just almost for no reason whatsoever, not even built up where money's involved in a pay-per-view, almost killing themselves or paralyzing someone permanently.
Right. Well, I think I've said it countless times, and you always disagree, that I've never hurt somebody. Right. And I take pride in that. That's something that I think, like, you got to take that seriously. Right. That's a great thing to have on your record, to say I've never hurt somebody. So, and I think it's like, for me, it's like, I've never done something unsafely. I guess that's more what I'm getting at. It's like, everyone's like, "Oh, such and such took such a high choke slam." It's like, well, I wouldn't give someone a high choke slam if I didn't trust that they knew how to take a high schoolboy, right? If it's somebody that doesn't know how to take a bump, they, and I don't want to say that it's a privilege to take that, because I know that sucks, but I think if you take a high schoolboy off of that, I'm not driving anyone through the mat, throwing someone down extremely hard or anything like that. So it can look devastating, but it doesn't have to be something where you're landing someone high shoulders or back of the head or anything like that. So you take pride in those things, because, like you said, that is the first thing that you learn in pro wrestling is how to protect yourself, and how to protect your opponent. It's like, as much as we want to say it's a combat sport, or there's arguments about that, and we talk, at nauseum about the realism, and let's make this look like a fight. The reality of the situation is that we're teammates, right? We're working at a common goal of giving the fans a good performance, and something where they can get invested and hopefully lose themselves in, and suspend disbelief a little bit, for however long they're at a show. And that's the main goal. It's like, we want to put on a good show for these fans without hurting each other, right?
100%.
Right. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I believe heavily in that, and obviously we've seen a lot of things recently that we go, what the fuck, man? You're not protecting that guy by doing that move. So that's one of those things, and you want people to be trained the right way, but as we've talked about, numerous times, it's like, people want the easy way out, right? What school can I go to that they'll let me wrestle a match as soon as possible, right? They'll take my money for a couple months, and as long as I'm selling tickets to the show, they'll put me on the show, and it doesn't matter if I'm fully trained or not. As long as I can bring some fans to the show and put some money in the promoter's pocket, it's all good, right? So I think we talk about that all the time as well. There's so many schools out there, and you just feel like the regulations are being relaxed because of that fact, that there's so many schools out there. Well, if I don't have this guy at my school paying, he's just going to go somewhere else and get trained somewhere else, and and who knows what type of education they're going to get, and how thorough it is, and things like that. So yeah, so disappointing seeing some of that stuff, and obviously you never want to see somebody get hurt.
Oh, 100%. When I'm looking at this, when I'm thinking about how fast we're putting people, through the training, how quickly they're learning and they're getting in the ring. It's dangerous. What we're doing out here is very, very dangerous. And I saw those two things, and I was kind of baffled by them. And then I was looking at the product of the show, and I was talking about, well, Monday Night Raw on Netflix, whatever you're calling it now, had the lowest rating. And I said it a couple weeks back, or maybe last week. I said it's getting very tough to watch, because it's just it's stale, it's stagnant. I just saw the girl from AEW. I saw the Mariah May. She just showed up. They just moved Stephanie Vaquer to Raw, and she dropped the belt to this girl named JC Jane, who's been around a while. But you see these things, and what used to be surprises, what used to be like you didn't know was going to happen. This thing that we're utilizing right now, this phone, this social media, this everything is being filmed world. It's becoming very hard, which I believe this could be used for a unbelievable kayfabe, right? Like I think you could use this social media because now YouTube, if your YouTube channel's hot, it could be just as big as a cable television deal. Like enough people can watch this and watch this streaming service and the stuff that we do that you could get so many views. YouTube now is like a TV deal. And especially if you're someone using this, if we have over 1 million subscribers on here, and this is monetized at some point, just with us, without having networks and all these different things, we're making the same amount of money as some of these guys are working for major cable television promotions because they have so many employees that are getting paid. So it's the usage of the social media, man. And I heard I don't know, I heard Matt Hardy say it one time, and I've heard a lot of people say it. Social media ain't real, man. It ain't real. And I want you to comment on that, but I'll be right back because I hear a loud bumping sound going on over here, and I'm not at wrestling training. So I'm gonna take care of this back fodder sound. Give me 15 seconds.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely know like you could be putting stuff online, and I feel like everybody is very quick to believe what's going on online. And like you said, you could, kayfabe could very much be alive when we're talking about these streaming services and social media stuff. So it's definitely an opportunity that you could get storylines over and things like that. But it makes me laugh sometimes because some of the ridiculous stuff that you see on social media that everybody takes so seriously, it just makes me laugh. It's like, there's what do they say? Like, Twitter, it's not real. It's just words out there. It's not nothing that you can necessarily say this is factual or this is a rib or this is kayfabe or whatever. You never really know because it's just words on a screen. You don't see any necessarily. You won't see any action going along with it, but it's definitely, like you said, it's a tool that we could use because so many people take it for fact, right? They see it on some sort of social media. That's what happened. I heard someone talking about truth, right? Getting released, and I was like, oh fuck, that didn't really happen. It's just somebody saying it online, trying to make people think that that's the truth. That's what actually happened, and then obviously you come to find out that actually did happen. So it can go both ways. I think you could get people all riled up for something that's nothing. We talked about a kidnapping angle that people were up in arms about, because it was like, oh, I saw this online, must be true.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing too nowadays. If you're going to do a kidnapping angle, if you're going to do an injury angle, there's a very good chance that that angle is going to get blown. So going into that as a promoter, as someone who's trying to push a storyline, using talent that's being used everywhere, right? It's so hard to say, oh, this guy tore his clavicle. He's going to be out for 6 months in PCW. And then next week, he's already on a graphic to wrestle somewhere else. So that's what I'm talking about, using social media to progress these storylines. So when you have a talent we don't ever talk about this a lot because a lot of people hate on it. They go, man, that guy only wrestles at one place. He needs to get out there more. Well, for a company, if you're a company that's actually really trying to build your fan base and you're doing your own thing and you got your own production and you're building your storylines, guys like myself, I love having somebody, and this is going to sound to everyone is going to sound bad, but it doesn't sound bad to me at all. I love having a guy that only works for my promotion or a guy that's just getting in the business that is working for my promotion to hone his skills. And maybe he's going to take a few bookings here and there just to work a few kinks out and get a little experience where it's needed, because then I know I can use this guy in an angle. We put belts on guys that we can trust. That's why for years promoters have put the belt on themselves, whatever belt it is, because they're like, well, I know I'm going to show up, so I might as well put this belt on myself. Or you get the old politic thing in the locker room where people are like, you put that on the guy because he's your friend. You're right. I did. And I can trust him and I know he's going to be there. And this is a top priority thing. We always called it Paula Ricken when we were coming up in the, over these last 10, 15 years. But I thought it's funny that it's called politics and your name is Paul, but Triple H is known as Paul Levesque or whatever it is now. So I find it funny that it's called politics now. Like I hear people say it and all I can think of is Triple H. And that's got to be a tough job. It's got to be a tough job for him because you're now in a company that is only concerned with the cha-ching. They're only concerned with the money. If you're not making them money, if you're somebody that's sitting around that is not making them any money, let's get rid of house shows. Let's cut this programming. Let's make these PLEs shorter. Let's get rid of certain things. Let's air certain things. Let's do different. Let's throw a 2-hour program together with only 37 minutes of wrestling and an hour and 23 minutes of commercials, because we're getting paid for those commercials. And that's business. I get it. But in the same sense, the people watching live, I heard about Saturday night's main event. The people watching Saturday night's main event live, they probably enjoyed the show. The people watching on TV, which is us, I didn't watch it, but we're punching ourselves. We're pulling our hair out, man. So it's about getting that viewership and the most bang for your buck. But the fans need to get the bang for their buck too, because we always talk about it having the ear for the crowd. We seen what happened in the pandemic when we were wrestling with no fans. There's no point. I get they had to continue to go on with their business and their sponsors, but there really is no point unless you're Mick Foley and The Rock at the Super Bowl halftime show in an empty building match, or a boiler room brawl with The Undertaker or something like that. Like, if it calls for it and it's a special stipulation, yes, but we need the fans. So we need to make these fans accommodate to them financially and make them happy.
Absolutely. And I think that it goes with a lot of different sports. I was just talking to people about Banana Ball, the Savannah Bananas. They toured through Reno, and AJ Kirsch is the MC for the Party Animals, one of the teams that they play. So they were talking about this experience that these people got, right? It was a couple hours before the baseball game started, and there's a big party out in front of the stadium, and there's food trucks, and there's merchandise stands, and places to get beers and stuff like that, and people are just having a good time. And I was talking to someone, I was like, I was already done drinking by the time the pregame was over, right? And then she's like, I'm already drinking waters, and then they open the gates to go in for the baseball game, and they keep it at 2 hours or less. So a little bit different with that. I know you talked about how they're trying to shorten the game of baseball and things, but they were talking about this thing cost you $40 and you got this huge experience, right? The guys coming out signing autographs before the baseball game starts. the guys staying after the baseball game to sign autographs. And, it's like, you can't get more entertainment for $40 than this. And they're comparing it to other events. So you definitely have to make it where the fans are feeling like they're getting their money's worth, right? So, and I know a lot of people are, they talk about ticket prices for wrestling shows, and I know we get it quite a bit as well. Oh well, I went to this show and the ticket prices were this much, and I came to your show and they were this much, and and the comparison and things like that. And for me, it's always like, well, did you get your money's worth? Did you feel like the value was there? So I think that's important, right? Do you feel like you're getting what you paid for? Do you feel like it's valuable? And and I think about so many things that we've talked in the past about how someone thinks if you get something for free, like advice that we give, that there is no value to it, right? If it doesn't cost me money, it's not valuable, and vice versa. If I pay a lot of money for something, then it is valuable. The price somehow correlates to that. But trying to make those things equal is kind of our whole goal. We're trying to get people to come to a wrestling show and pay their hard-earned money to get something of value to them, something that entertains them, and that's the goal.
I'm coming off a hellacious weekend. Actually, I'm coming off of 2 back-to-back weekends. I'm physically exhausted getting out here promoting. We did the summer stroll, and it's 100-something degrees out there, and they want entertainment from 3, 4, 5, 6. And I wanted to do. We did the last show at 8, which from 8 to 9 was really, really good, right? Like a lot of people came out for that because but the other times we're sitting out there just sweating our balls off. And I had to tell the people, I said, hey, what's the point of doing entertainment all day if no one's fucking there to watch it, right? Like, I get you wanted it all day, but we're out here all day. Let us set up. Let us come. I hate doing outside shows. If I'm going to do an outside show, I want there to be lights. I want it to be dark. And I don't want to see the ambiance of the buildings and the things that are around us. But one thing in this miserable, well, the whole team went to hell this weekend together. As guys are leaving, they're like, "Hey man, that was great. Thanks. Let's never fucking do this again, right?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, we got paid for it." But one thing I wanted to talk about was there's this bad stigma about battle royals, right? So we did a battle royal, and I went up to all the young guys and I said, hey, this is where it was at 6 o'clock. And I said, this is where you go out, try some new stuff in here, stay in there a while. Everybody was doing the match in the block in less than 10 minutes. I watched 2 guys slowly walk to the ring, slowly lock up a couple times and do nothing, go to the outside fight. And they were back in the curtain at 5:09. The damn thing, their entrances started at 5. Said, you did with entrances and fighting all over the street and going to the finish, you were back through the curtain in less than 9 minutes. I said, come on, man, you got to do better than that. So I was telling everybody, hey, the Battle Royal, make it last a while. Have some fun out there. Get some time in. And I watched Zack Bay, of all people, man. I was like, man, what a performance he put on for 25 minutes. And then he had a standoff with Sin, and he got thrown over the top rope, and he went over the top hit the ground, landed on his feet, looked up at him, and he came back to the curtain. And his partner, Buck, got eliminated about a minute into this thing. And a couple other guys that should have been out there longer got eliminated a minute in. When they came through, I'm like, why'd you go out so quick, man? I was like, this was your chance to get 20, 25 minutes of work. And then Buck is around the corner, and I talked to him about this, and now he's cheering on his partner who's out here putting on the performance of a lifetime. Really was. And I said, hey, what are you doing? I said, you chose to mail it in and get out of here after a minute. Now you're stealing your partner's heat. Nobody knows that's your fucking partner now. Get back here. Shut your mouth. You know what I mean? And he's like, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, well, of course you didn't. But it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I'm just in a battle royal. Guys, you can get over in a battle royal. You can say, I'm going to come down to the final four in a battle royal with the guy who we're getting over that's going to win. And we can go 10 minutes past if we got some stuff that we want to do right there. And we can really, what are we telling these guys anyways? Hey, go home and go home at the 5 minute mark, right? Or when the crowd's hot. Some guys are out there, they get only like 5 or whatever so minutes, less than 10 minutes. You have 20, 25 minutes in this battle royal to get yourself over. And it's the best time to get yourself over because you're like, all I'm requiring is selling and heat and trying to get the guy over the rope. I really get to get my character over right here. I don't have to do moves at this point. But everyone's so concerned with like, oh, the battle royal is just for jobbers. No, that's what all the workers backstage think it is. They're like, oh, I'm battle royal. I'm in, I'm out. I don't want to get hurt. Well, yeah, you're going to get hurt if you guys are in there trying to do a bunch of big moves and stuff. But if you work it out where they say, hey, this guy's going over, and you say, all right, these are the final 3 or 4 guys. Now the ring is cleared out. Now it still is a battle royal rules, but now you have room and you have some time to start doing some moves and getting your character over and stuff like that. So, I mean, what is your take on that? Because I have always been, I know Rick says he's the last man standing rumbles his show. He's the rumble man, right? And I always go out there in those rumbles, and you've seen me afterwards, man, especially at the last man standing one we just had at PCW. I'm covered in rope burns. I am just beat to shit, and I've done so many close calls and saves. I feel like I have some of my best performances in battle royals and rumble style matches. So what? And I feel like they draw a lot too. I feel like all those things like, well, we can't do a battle royal because we just did a rumble. Now you can do a battle royal every fucking show if you'd like, man. Especially if the guys go out there and they take the battle royal serious, not like, oh, we're just 10, 15 guys in here and I'm gonna get out of here real quick and get on my way home. I feel like the battle royal can really get somebody over and give young guys an opportunity to really refine their characters and try some different shit out.
Absolutely. And I think if you think back to like old school wrestling, there were those things that were the novelty things. Battle Royal was one of them. A midget match was another one. Women's match. You know, you had these novelty things that it was like, you know, as much as you say you could do it every show, I think it's one of those things where it's something that people don't see all the time. So when you're talking about how a battle royal can sometimes be a good draw, it's an opportunity for people to go, oh, I don't see that often, you know. And someone was just making a comment about that for Winnemucca, the Runnemucca thing. Oh, these guys, they've been asking, you know, if we can get a women's match or we can get a midget match or something like that. It's like, you know, those are those things, and those are the novelty things where, yeah, you know, where it's like, you know, we talk about Billy Blade and his midget thing, right? And you go to those things and you're trying to promote a pro wrestling show, and these fans, they can give 2 shits about that, you know. They're like, oh, I'm here to see these little guys kick the shit out of each other. You know, it's a novelty thing. It's not because they're pro wrestling fans. So, you know, I think the battle royal is the same way. But man, I have to mirror exactly what you're saying, man. It's such a great opportunity, and I remember just learning stuff in a battle royal, things that you can use in other situations. Like I was going to pick Adam up in the corner, and he starts selling his ears, right? Because I've just got him in the clinch, but I'm picking him up, but my hands are on the side of his head, and he starts selling his ears. And I was like, this is fucking funny as hell. First of all, because obviously we're buddies and we're just goofing off and having a good time, but we're also entertaining people, right? Where people are seeing me what looks like I'm grabbing this dude by his ears and I'm picking him up. and he's selling it, right? And then I go away and I do something else, and I come back, then I start working his ears, right? Because I go, light bulb, fuck, these fans are loving that. So you can do that. So I think it's a great opportunity. Like you said, go out there, spend some time out there, work on your craft, right? That's a perfect opportunity to work on your strikes, right? Put in some work on your heat, right? I want to, I'm throwing punches. Maybe my punches suck. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to work on that. Or I'm going to learn how to, I'm going to throw forearms, whatever it is. I'm going to work on something while I'm out there. I don't know. You talk about getting the saves, and that could be, that's your story in itself, right? How many times does this guy potentially get thrown over the top and somehow weasel his way back in, right? That could be the story all in itself. And then, wow, man, this guy's been in there for 30, 45 minutes and he was one of the first guys in there. How long can this guy last? And then you can be building sympathy from the fans. So, like, what better way to do those things? And you're not gonna go in there and be putting on a high paced 30 minutes. You're in there, you're just throwing punches and kicks and choking people and trying to throw them over the top and doing all these, little subtle things. But what a great opportunity to get your character over. And, I talk a lot about when you're a heel character and you're not cheating, but you're doing things that people go, God, this guy's such a dick. Why is he doing that? Why is he rubbing his forearm across the bridge of this guy's nose? Like, what a dick move to do, right? Can't you just put him in a wrestling hold or do some wrestling? You have to try to inflict pain on this guy. You step on the guy's fingers or whatever it is. You think about all the different things you can do in a battle royal when it comes to that. Which brings me, I'm going to give you one more story that I just, it popped in my head and that they would tell to me all the time. And I want to say it was probably SPW at the Colonial. And this was back in the day, like when I first broke in, these guys were going, Tony Danza, right? They'd hit you in the nuts. They'd give you the sack tap and they'd be like, who's the boss? Right. And they were just telling me about a battle royal that these guys were in. And they were like, Malachi's in there, and he's like dick punching people. Like, and it reminded me of Mike Tyson's Punch Out. When you're little Mac and you get down and you're like, buck, 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 buck. I just imagine Jeremy just punching dudes in the dick. And then they're like, we got backstage, like, somebody hit me in the fucking dick back there. It's like, yeah, I don't know who did that. But such fun in battle royals, man. A lot of fun times.
Yeah, the battle royals are great. I remember at the event, it's 100 plus degrees. We're out in the direct sunlight. And after each block, I'm telling the guys, I'm like, man, the quality of wrestling is shit right now. And then when it finally gets cool and we put on the 4 matches in a row, I'm like, man, these were really good. I'm like, we can use this stuff. This was good. The fans finally came in. And I just remember thinking, like, man, it's 100 something degrees out there. They're hot. There's no fans. Of course it's going to be a lack of quality going on out there. You know what I mean? And then they get to the real show and the guys start performing and doing what they're doing. But it's all these different situations that I look at, man, like errors in booking, right? Like I made an error in the booking. Like I was like, man, I'm going to go last with tempo. And Ethan Reno and Arsonist went number 2. Well, Ethan Reno's from Yuba City, and Ethan Reno wins the belt. We do the old foot under the thing like we did up there in Winnemucca, and he's running. Place goes crazy. He's running around the street with the title. Chico's like, oh, no, the foot was on the rope, and now we take the belt away from him. Low blow. Arsonist rolls him up, and then half the crowd leaves. Half the crowd leaves because the guy they came to watch, the hometown kid, was in match number 2, should have been the main event. I should have gone number 2. And it probably would have been better if I would have gone number 2. You know what I mean? And it was just a hot day. But what it made me realize is working in silence, man. You know what I mean? Working in silence. We get all this lip service and we have all these people that talk about all these things. Like now we got people taking gym pictures and videos while they're working out. It's like, go fucking work out. If you want to get pumped up afterwards and go take a picture of yourself and slap it on the internet, go for it, man. But if you're a pro wrestler and you're working out and you're all about fitness and everything, guess where we're going to see it at? We're going to see it on flyers. We're going to see it in the videos. We're going to see it live at the show. If we're part of the show, we're going to see it when you walk in the locker room to put your gear on, and we're going to be like, hey, man, you look great. So what I mean by working in silence is like, let's get some results out of these things. Everybody nowadays just seems like they want that instant gratification of I've worked out. Hey, look at me at the training facility. I saw something the other day, maybe yesterday or today, but I saw a move being done. I saw a tilt-a-world head scissor being done from the same building that we train out of. And they had a crash pad for the roll, for the heel bump out. And the motherfucker missed the crash pad anyways, and he didn't even take a bump. And I'm just looking at it, and it's no knock on these people for recording it, but whoever recorded it just must have added it to that person's story and added it to the fucking internet without even going back and looking at it. It was just like, hey, let's try this. Put out the crash pad. Okay, post it. Did you look back at it? Because you shouldn't have posted that. So what I mean by working in silence and let's see the results is, one thing I wanted to point out, so the Swole father from Next Level, his kid, he's been having him in the gym for like the last year or two, and I'm actually starting to see strength results and results in his physique. And I didn't notice that for a long time. He was a skinny kid when he was working prospects, and then now I'm like, oh, he's got abs and he's starting to fill out and get some muscle. One of the greatest things the Ballard brothers, I forget if it was Shane or Shannon because they're twins, told me one time. I had gained a little weight, and I had said, hey, should I go out there without a shirt on or not? And they said, yes, go out there without a shirt. And his reason for it was, if you're really taking care of yourself and trying to get back in better shape, then the audience will see that your body's getting better and you're getting in better shape. And that was some advice I was giving some of the guys backstage. A MILF hunter, I just said, man, just take your shirt off. Just go out there with your shirt off, man. Like it's better than wearing the cutoff t-shirt over it. And if you're really working on your body, it'll get better. And if you're not working on your body, looking at yourself with your shirt off wrestling will definitely motivate you to do it. But it's that work, like the results, man. Results are not, these results do not come from us saying all the hard work we're doing. The results actually just show up from your hard work. So working silence is what I believe, man. You don't have to show them everything you're doing every second of your life.
Of course. Well, and then you don't really get to see the results as much, right? You talk about people that look at themselves in the mirror every day, right? And sometimes you're making changes, but you don't really notice because you're looking at yourself every day, right? It's so subtle each day. But if you took a picture of yourself in January and then you busted your ass and you took a picture of yourself in December, then you go, oh shit, look at all the progress that I made, right? Check out these results. You think about Arsonist is the guy that comes to mind right now because that's his journey, right? You look at the pictures that he took, when he started, and then you look at the pictures that you look at now, and you're like, fuck, dude, what a transformation, right? So I think those are. I mean, you're spot on when you talk about that. It's so difficult to see that. That's why a lot of people say, don't step on the scale every day, right? Because your numbers are going to fluctuate, and you're going to see it every day. And it's like, and then that's what discourages some people. You step on the scale every day, and it's like, oh, nothing's happening, or oh, I only lost 1 pound, or whatever it is. But instead, if you step on the scale every month or something, and then it's like, oh, hey, I lost 4 pounds this month, or I lost 10 pounds this month. You're like, oh shit, I'm making progress. So
Mhm.
it's a perfect, talking about working in silence. That's exactly right, man. You don't notice the things when someone takes a photo of themselves every single day. You do see it when those photos are spaced out, and you're talking about the soul father's son, and it's like you see that, right? It's like, oh, is this the skinny kid? And then next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, this kid's getting in shape. He's getting abs. He's getting bigger, getting stronger. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, so now you see the difference because it's spaced out a little bit, and it's not a in your face every single day. And I think that those are the things that just make you go, you just skip past it, right? Oh, I don't need to see that. I saw a picture of you yesterday. I saw a picture of you the last 10 days in a row. Like, what are we doing here? I don't need to see that anymore. Show me the results when it's before and after photo. Then I can really say, oh, you're making progress. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Noah Palma, man. Shout out, man. Working hard. When you see these guys work hard, man, you just gotta throw them a bone, man, and say, hey, good work. Because it's, man, I want to get better. You know what I mean? The Travis Alexander, I want to get better. The physique of an Illumide. You see these guys really honing in and putting in that work, man. It makes you want to work. And that's the thing, is we have to remember, when we get motivated, motivation only lasts so long, right? So the discipline, the routine steps in. I mean, you got to do the things you don't want to do like you want to do them. And that's where the training comes in. Like we always talk about, you know, I'm a trained wrestler, so I go wrestle now. No, yeah, keep keep working, man. Keep working on the lockup. Keep working on the side headlock. Better all these things. Figure out smoother and lighter ways to counter things with your opponents, because that's what wins championships in sports. I was listening to Barry Bonds, and he had an interesting way to break down baseball that I never heard anybody break it down. Greatest hitter of all time. I don't care what anybody says. Um, he said, someone said something to him about 100-mile-per-hour fastball. He said, oh, that's easy work all day. And they said, oh, yeah. And he said, yeah. Because what we're forgetting, we're like, man, that guy throws so hard, right? Well, there's somebody that's crouched down behind a plate in a squatted position with an umpire behind him, catching 120 of those 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, catching it and throwing it right back to him every time, catching it. And Barry goes, I just changed the object to catch it with. Barry goes up to bat. I look at it like I'm already at 0-2 count. I'm ready to swing. Barry also says, even if I get out, as long about the other position players, as long as I put the ball into play off the pitcher, I won that.
Absolutely.
We say it over and over and over again. Repetition. Slow the fuck down. Through the program I'm in, that's the one thing I'm so grateful about, this program I'm in. It has taught me how to not react to everything everybody posts on the internet, not react to what people say to me in public. It's really helped me in the ring too, to be honest with you, after all these years. Because now when somebody says something to me, instead of reacting, I give myself a 15, 20-second grace period where I go, is it worth it? Does it matter? What should I do here? Okay, don't respond. Here's the next move. Here's why we're going here. So if we just slow down, and I was telling someone this the other day because I was watching Sergio and Dicky, and sorry for this little bit of long rant. I'll cut it off. But I think this is very important. It's called a feel out process, right? So when we get in the ring, locking up and moving back to a corner and breaking off and communicating with our guy, even for that minute and a half of, we can only have a 5-minute match, but a minute and a half of connecting with our opponent and just like really like feeling the vibe of them out and talking, it eases our nerves and it calms us down so that here in the next minute and a half, when we explode and start doing a bunch of shit off the ropes and stuff, we're in the zone. We get what's going on. It relaxes us. That's what I was telling Sergio. You relaxed Dickie, which sounds gross. You relaxed Dakin before the match, and that really slowed him down and calmed him down. I sent you a match today, and I sent it to everyone. I don't know who watched it, but it was from Ring of Honor. It was Fit Finley older versus Roderick Strong. And if you watch that, Finley's just so calm and smooth, and Strong's like jerking around and grabbing stuff quickly and reacting. And Roderick Strong's great, but Fit Finley is just a pro, man. And I'm telling everyone, watch Finley. Don't watch Strong. He's great, and he's great accommodating this, but watch how confident, watch how slow, watch how smooth, watch how precise Finley is. He's never stressing. He's never looking like he's thinking about the next thing because it's right fucking there in front of him because he's not going so goddamn fast.
It was a pleasure watching that. Like I was just watching it, and a coworker came in and was like, "Oh, watching wrestling," you know. And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like this is good wrestling. This isn't the stuff that I normally watch, which is picking apart some shitty wrestling match." I was just so, just I was just into that match, man, because it was like you said, everything was so slow, and it was like you're able to digest all these things because it's not like 5 moves that you have to try to digest. I just thought it was great. Like Roger Strong chopped him in the corner, and it wasn't like sell it like ow ow ow, let him hit me again. It was like an instant reaction. They like leg dove him or something, hit a leg dive on him and took him down. Right? It's like, you motherfucker, you just hit me in the chest with a chop. I'm reacting. I'm taking you down just like you would in a real fight, right? So it was just like, it was so just cool to watch that. And I remember people we went to the Harley race camp, and for some reason I had, I don't know if there was a whole DVD set on Mr. Perfect, but we were watching this match, and it was Kurt Hennig against Nick Bockwinkel, and I feel like they worked a hammerlock for like, it had to be 25 minutes. Getting in and out of it, and just like the pace was so slow, and you feel like you got out of it, and then you get, something else happens and gets back into the hammerlock. And I just remember just being mesmerized by like the simplicity, but the story that was being told. And when they were asking people about like, what's your favorite match? It's like, I just watched this match, and I just want to keep watching it over and over, because you're going to watch that match, and everything that you thought you saw, you're going to see that. Plus, you're going to see a bunch of other new stuff that you didn't see the first time, that as you're digging into it a little bit more. And I think those are those matches that are really cool to watch, that, you think back and you go, they didn't do shit in that match. They went back to the same hold over and over. And it reminds me of Oliver John and Timothy Thatcher at APW when they worked the headlock for 17 minutes or something, and I just remember like hitting the belly to the back, holding on, like all these things that you go, oh, he's getting out of the side headlock. Nope. He lets go of it quickly and snatches it back on. And Finley was doing the exact same thing. He let go of the headlock, and I'm like, oh, why is he letting go in the headlock? He's looking for something else, but then he doesn't get it, snatches the headlock right back on, right?
Yep.
It's just like you're making the guy think, is he going for a different body part and then he just snatches it right back on. So I don't know. It's that psychology where you're just watching it and it makes perfect sense because you can justify everything that's going on. And with the role that I've been taking on at your company with commentating, I'm thinking to myself how you could tell that story of the things that are happening. Took his hand off the headlock. You would think that Roderick Strong could sneak out of it, but he's reaching for the arm or he's reaching for the leg, and so Roderick Strong has to move that part, which makes Finley be able to snatch the headlock on a little bit harder or whatever it is. So, but great match, man. It was one of those things that I always think you're going to send me something that I'm going to, laugh at and turn off after 2 minutes. But that was 17 minutes that I was just glued to the screen on that one.
Well, this is the thing, man. Like I love bad wrestling because bad wrestling as a coach deciphering something, even you can learn something from the bad stuff too. But I love great wrestling. That's what I really like. I love watching good wrestlers, man. I love going to shows and seeing whether me and the guy get along or not, whatever. I love going to shows and seeing two guys go out there and put it on and put on a performance. And I will go up to those guys when it's over and be like, man, you guys killed it tonight. That shit was good. Like I want to give you props. I want to go to shows. I want to go to training. I want to go places and see people do great stuff because that's why I got in the business. I got in the business because of the good stuff. And then along the way, you see the bad stuff and you realize, hey, I have a terrible sense of humor. And then you realize, like, if you are dumb enough to get in that ring, not knowing what you're doing and willingly do it, then you deserve having me watch. Especially if you're going to put it out there for everybody to observe, you're asking for me to observe this thing. It's like, do I want to watch Brad Pitt in World War Z in a serious zombie movie? Or do I want to watch Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart in Get Hard? You know what I mean? Like with a lot of gay jokes and terrible stuff. Hey, man, I like them both. I love the seriousness of this movie or this TV series, but I also love to laugh my ass off at completely stupid shit. So it's the same way with professional sports. It's the same thing with comedy. It's the same thing with movies. It's the same thing in going to the grocery store. You're like, ooh, look at that good looking girl. And then you're like, look at this dipshit, right? You know what I mean? Like I'll look at it all. I'm entertained by all of it, but I love good stuff, man. Finley. And the thing is, if you learn to wrestle, what he's doing out there technically is not hard. We can all do it. It's a lot easier to do than the bouncing around and the super athletic, dangerous stuff. But a lot of guys don't know how. And when we say this, they don't know how to work. They're going to grab a headlock and they're going to wrench the shit out of your neck. You know what I mean? You're going to try to fight out of it and they're going to torque your neck. I had that happen at class the other day. And for a day and a half, I was like, oh, I had this severe neck pain over nothing too. And then I'm out here doing a superplex off the top rope and having all these. I took like 5 bumps on Saturday. And I woke up the next day and I'm like, dude, I'm fine. Because I took 5 good snap bumps. I didn't take 4 good snap bumps. I took 5 good snap bumps. But at practice, I went underneath to try to like turn them to a top hand wrist and told them to tighten it up, and they just torqued my neck. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be rough for a couple days. So
right.
Working is protecting your opponent. I say it all the time. We are trying to simulate a fake fight that the audience believes is real. And that is what we were doing. And we were trying to portray these characters, man. If you go, Bret Hart wasn't a character, but Bret was a character. Michaels was a character. Kurt Angle was a character. Like they made him the obnoxious Olympic gold medalist. That's the character. Who cares if he won an Olympic gold medal? That's just a true that he did that. But it's a character. Get out there, work. Most importantly, learn to work. Don't be afraid to work. You want to choreograph some stuff, that's fine. But learn to work, man. Learn the history of the business and learn why we're doing this stuff. And go find somebody that knows how to do this stuff right and get your ass in that ring and have them show it to you and really practice your craft.
Well, we do have just 5 minutes remaining in the podcast. But you know what? You said that Finley could work, right? And I think they said that he was deep in his 50s at that point, right? In that match. And that's exactly why somebody can wrestle deep into their 50s and make it believable and all that stuff is because he's doing simplistic, wrestling stuff, holds, he's not doing anything spectacular. He's doing things that make sense. He's doing things that, that look like a fight, look like, stimulated combat. It was just marvelous to watch, seeing these things go down. And obviously it's 2 styles as well, 2 different styles. And I think Roderick Strong is probably a super good technical worker as well, but you could just see the levels of technical mastery in between those guys, right? And obviously, Finley's been doing it for way longer, and since he was a teenager, so probably has a lot more things in his bag, as the kids say in the basketball court. His bag is deep,
bag of goods.
Full. He's got a big bag of goods. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and like you just said, man, get in the ring, jump in the ring with somebody who's experienced and can do this stuff. Get in there, milk them. Like just soak in as much knowledge as you can. Ask questions. Like we've been saying this, over and over and over. But it's like, I don't know, what is it going to take for someone to take that seriously and go, hey, you know what I need to do? I need to go get in the ring with some of these guys that are more experienced and have a bunch of knowledge to give. Like, what does that take? And I don't know, does that go back to it's not good if I get it for free, but it will be good if I have to pay money for it? Is that what it takes? I don't know, man. It seems so silly that, we talk about this all the time. Like, hey, giving out free advice. But obviously you don't want to take it, but if there was a if I was charging you for it, then maybe you'd be like, oh yeah, I got to go there, or, some sort of status symbol, right? I'm going to pay to go get trained at this place when I could potentially get it for free, from the same place.
You give the kid a bike, he fucks it up. You make him use his allowance to buy his own bike. He spit shines that thing. And that's the thing about living the dream too. This has been the first year, and one guy was injured and both the winners took a little bit of time off here and there, but they're still there. But for 10 years, man, it was almost a guarantee the person that won the contest wasn't coming back. Or if they did, they weren't lasting long because it was given to them. And you don't want it given to them. And I'm looking over at you in that wife beater, and I think back to me and Dickie this weekend. We ran around all day in the blistering heat in the wife beater, and we didn't even think about it. We even put suntan lotion on and a sunblock. And by the time we were ready to wrestle at 7:00, we took our wife beaters off to get ready to wrestle, and we had the wife beater tan going on. And at first I was really insecure. I was like, man, they're going to make fun of me out there. Like I look good, but I was like, they're going to make fun of me. And then I saw Dickie walk out there, and his was worse because he's whiter than I am. And I'm like, whatever they're going to say to me, they're already going to say to this motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I really enjoyed that. But here we are at the end of the program, Paul. We got a lot of stuff. Like I said, we always say we got a lot of stuff coming up. I am very interested to see how this hot ass summer everybody handles, because I've been seeing a lot of outside shows. So to you wrestlers out there, stay hydrated, get some pop-up tents, and do not dirty your tights up in the freshly cut grass.
It seems like some pretty specific information. But hey, man, for me, Paul Isadora, and you, primetime Zack Reeb, we're going over.
Subscribe.